Hello everyone, this is Pooka and welcome to another edition of Building on a Budget, where we give new players a cheap way to enter competitive play in the Pokemon TCG. In the past we've featured decks like a Weavile Execute deck, a Shedinja Ninjask deck, a Flareon Raichu Garbodor deck, and today we're going to feature one of my favorite decks. That's a round deck featuring Seismitoad and Meloetta EX. So this is a very, very simple deck. Seismitoad has the attack Round, does 30 damage times the number of Pokemon, a number of your Pokemon that have the Round attack. So that means every one of your Seismitoad in play provides 30 more damage. Every one of your Palpitoad in play, the stage 1 of Seismitoad, provides more damage. And Meloetta EX also provides more damage for Round. These are your 3 Pokemon in the deck that have the Round attack. Unfortunately, Tympole does not have the Round attack, but both of its evolutions do, and it might actually be too good if it were on the basic. That might be arguable, but if Tympole had Round, this deck would be a lot better. Anyway, that's it. You're just trying to get as many Pokemon in play that have Round, and you're just trying to beat down your opponent as quickly as possible. That's it. That is the basic strategy. Get a ton of Pokemon with Round out, attack, take knockouts, and win. Alright, so that's our basic strategy. Our trainer cards are going to be a little simple. Let's take a look. We have 4 of these. Each player shuffles in and then draws a card for each remaining prize card. This is very good early on in the game. Draws you 6 cards, and later on in the game, draws less and less cards since you're taking prizes, but it can disrupt your opponent, which is very good. 4 Professor Sycamore. Discard your hand and draw 7 cards. It's the most explosive draw card we have. 3 Shauna, just a pretty mediocre card, but it gets you a fresh hand of 5 cards. And then 3 Colress, which is actually really good in this deck because you're benching a lot of Pokemon all the time. Shuffle your hand into your deck and then draw a number of cards equal to the number of benched Pokemon. So this can be anywhere from 0 to 10, kind of the opposite of N, where it draws you very little cards early on and a lot at the end of the game. So those are the supporter cards for the deck. Since this is a Stage 2 deck, we're also going to run 2 additional Bicycle. It's just an item card that allows you to draw until you have 4 cards in your hand. This is just a little extra oomph to get you some extra cards on some turns, to really allow you to get more of those round Pokemon in play. So those are the supporting cards we have in the deck for the trainers. We run a lot of searching cards. We have 4 Level Ball, search for a Pokemon with 90 HP or less. This can get us Tympole or Palpitoad, and we want to get as many of those out in play as possible, so we run 4 Level Ball, and then 4 Ultra Ball as well. Discard 2 cards, and then search for a Pokemon. So this can get our Seismitoad and also Meloetta EX. Or you can get anything, but mainly going to be used for those 2. So we run 8 searching cards. This is all about consistency, getting your round off as soon as possible, and going from there. We run 4 Rare Candy as well. Just allows you to skip from Tympole right into Seismitoad so we can get some quick attacks off. We can round as soon as turn 2 with this deck. Very good. We have 3 Silver Bangle as well. This is a very good card against those Pokemon EX that are very hard to knock out in one hit because they have usually around 170 or 180 hit points. Now we could get a full field of 6 round Pokemon and then we're doing 180 damage. Sure, in a perfect world, that makes sense, right? You get them all out, you do 180, you knock them out. But what usually happens is you can get about 5 round Pokemon in play, and then Silver Bangle gives you the extra damage against those Pokemon EX. You can do an extra 30 damage, so now instead of 150, we're doing 180 damage against those Pokemon EX with round, and we get to knock them out in one hit. So Silver Bangle is very important in this deck. You could also use Muscle Band, but this really helps to hit those 180 hit point Pokemon like Darkrai EX or Black Kyurem EX. So I would almost always recommend Silver Bangle in this deck. Otherwise, we just have a couple Super Rod, shuffle in 3 Pokemon in Basic Energy, a combination of 3, from your discard pile back into your deck. This is very good because we're going to be losing Seismitoad throughout the game, and it's really your only attacker, so if they get knocked out, you shuffle them back in, and then you get more of them out. pretty simple. Super Rod is a staple in this deck. We just have one switch. It's probably the simplest card in the game. Switch your active Pokemon with one of your benched Pokemon. Does exactly what it says. And then Escape Rope, which is basically a double switch. Both players switch out their active Pokemon for a benched Pokemon. This can help you if there's something like a Pokemon EX you want to finish off on the bench, and it's all your if the only Pokemon your opponent has left are Pokemon EX, and they have a non-EX active, but you want to take 2 prizes. Escape Rope's very good to force one of those Pokemon out, so you can take a 2-prize knockout to finish the game. It might be kind of complicated to put into words, but Escape Rope is a very good card as well. And I think that's everything, but we just have the energy, very simple, for double colorless energy. Provides 2 colorless energy. That's also a self-explanatory card. With one of these, we can just use round. That's all it is. 1 energy attachment, we can round. So 4 of those, and then just 4 psychic energy. Honestly, this can be any type. We run psychic just in case we want to use round with Meloetta EX, but this should never ever happen. If you're using round with Meloetta EX, you're most likely losing the game. You can't really afford to attach to this thing 3 times. You want to attack with Seismitoad pretty much every time. But just in case, you never know what crazy stuff can happen. So this is the deck. It's a fairly inexpensive deck. I know you might be thinking, whoa, there's a Pokemon EX. I cannot afford that. But this is actually a $2 card. Yes, I'm even using the full art version because this is actually a $2 card as well. The regular art version might be slightly cheaper, but they're both probably around the same price. This is because this is from the Radiant collection from Legendary Treasures, and those cards just aren't worth too much. So the total cost for the Pokemon line will be about $11 if you bought all these cards online. The total deck is going to cost anywhere from $60 to $70, which is pretty standard for any deck that's running a standard trainer line. So it's a very inexpensive deck to start off with. The biggest thing that's going to cost you money are the trainers, as usual. Those are the pricey parts of the deck. So let's take a look at a game with round and see it in action. See if it can actually pull off this strategy. So it looks like we are going first against Unknown Planet, and he reveals all sorts of stuff. Looks like probably a dark type deck with Darkrai EX or Yveltal EX, something we're going to have to deal with. So we'll go ahead and start off here going first, and we do see a Darkrai EX and a Trubbish as well. So that's what we're going up against. I'm going to level ball for a Tympole, and since the Darkrai deck really can't knock out a Tympole turn 1 unless they got a very good start, we're just going to attach that double colorless to the active and then play an N, and it looks like that's all we're going to get this turn. I could use an Ultra Ball there to get an extra, maybe like a Meloetta EX in play, but I do have a Rare Candy, so I'm just going to wait for a turn, and then next turn, if I have my same hand, I'll just Ultra Ball for a Seismitoad, and then Rare Candy into it, and evolve, and then we can start using Round. If we use it too early, if I use it for a Meloetta EX, then I guess my opponent just might play an N, or if I get a Meloetta EX, then I might have to waste that Rare Candy, and it would just be nice to evolve next turn. If I play the Ultra Ball early, my opponent could play an N and disrupt my hand. So we need to just sit there and wait, and then next turn we can play the Ultra Ball, evolve to Seismitoad, hopefully get some more Pokemon with Round in play, and then go from there. Start being aggressive. This is definitely an aggressive deck. It takes a little bit of time to set up sometimes, but it wants to be aggressive and just attack, attack, attack. Now my opponent is using a Skyla, gets to search for any card, or any trainer card, sorry. Searching for any card would be very, very good. Searching for any trainer card. So we'll have to see what my opponent decides to grab with this. Could be all sorts of stuff. And turns out it is an Ultra Ball. So he's going to discard 2 cards, gets rid of a Dark Patch and a Super Rod. And let's see what he takes with it. Could be any number of things. And there we do see the Yveltal EX, which is a very, very powerful card. Evil Ball does 20 plus 20 for each energy attached to both active Pokemon. So very, very good. Now, my opponent did not play an energy card that turn, so I think his hand might be a little weak. I have an option to play an N or a Professor Sycamore here, and since my opponent's hand seems to be a little weak, I'm just going to go ahead with a Professor Sycamore. We'll Ultra Ball for the Seismitoad, a rare candy into it, and get a Timpole into play. I was hoping for a much more explosive turn than this, maybe with a couple Meloettas. If I drew a really great hand, we could have used Round for 180 damage this turn, but that was wishful thinking, so we just have to settle for a Round for 90 damage instead, which is okay too. We are putting some pressure on, and there's not a whole lot my opponent can do without a very, very good hand from here. It would take a couple Dark Patches and something like that in order to knock out Seismitoad this turn, so I'm not that worried about it. We do see an Ultra Ball for another Darkrai, and then Professor Juniper drawing 7 cards, and a Hypnotoxic Laser with a Burbank City Gym. That's pretty annoying. I'm going to go to sleep and be poisoned. Hopefully I wake up. If not, I'm going to have to play that Escape Rope to get my Seismitoad out of the active spot, and then we'll have to draw even more stuff. So I'm hoping to not have to deal with that. I did wake up, however, so this can be a much better turn now. I have some decisions to be making. I'm going to go ahead and just keep going ahead with a very aggressive strategy. We're going to discard a Super Rod and Escape Rope, grab Meloetta EX, and then just Chorus for 6, and oh boy. We got 2 Meloetta EX, so we can play both of those down, and look at this. Look at how much damage this round is going to do. 210 damage. Take that, Darkrai. And Seismitoad is on a roll right now. I could have played an Ultra Ball last turn to grab another Seismitoad as well, but it's really painful to have to discard a couple rare candy there. I definitely could fizzle out if I go ahead and did that. So I'm just going to hold back on doing that, and then next turn we'll see what happens, and we'll Ultra Ball for a Seismitoad and maybe some other stuff as well. Now, Yveltal EX is active, and it looks like it's ready to attack. Either one of its attacks will be a knockout, and Seismitoad will go down. It looks like it's just an Evil Ball. My opponent probably thinks there's no way I can knock him out this turn, even after he got rounded for a bazillion damage that turn, but it looks like we got a good shot to do it. All right, we're going to go ahead and Ultra Ball for a Seismitoad, and then we can play another Ultra Ball, getting a Meloetta EX. And that will get 6 round Pokemon in play, and all we'll have to do is draw a double Colorless Energy, and then we can round for 180 once again, getting another knockout, and we got it. We actually got 2 of them. So here we're just going to play as many cards as we can. One of the biggest weaknesses of this deck is N. Later in the game, you can be put into low hand sizes, and it's difficult to keep evolving your Pokemon. But this is definitely the strength of Round, being able to just take big knockouts early on in the game, putting on a lot of pressure. And we're actually in a pretty good position here, I would say. And we're up 3 prizes now. We got tons of Round Pokemon in play, and my opponent is certainly on the back foot here. He's just going to pass the turn. Now I'm going to attach that double colorless to Palpitoad, and I think I'm just going to go for the win. If we draw the Dowsing Machine, we can get the Escape Rope back, force that Darkrai out, and win the game. And there it is. We got the Dowsing Machine, and my opponent doesn't even want to see it happen. He concedes the game, frustrated, knowing that that Dowsing Machine goes for Escape Rope. Darkrai EX is forced into the active spot, and a round will be the end of the game. So just like that, Round can take down even the most powerful archetypes with a good enough start. And it's just a matter of getting those Round Pokemon in play and attacking for big one-hit knockouts. That's what Round is all about. So hope you guys enjoyed this video. I will certainly have some more for you soon. This is Pooka from the Top Cut, and I will see you guys next time.